Thank you so much for joining the live stream today. So we're going to go over quite a couple of things today. I think what a lot of people are joining for is also to hear your story. And you have quite a popular YouTube channel, a couple of YouTube channels with your story as well. And I think it's reached a lot of people. I know that I discovered you through YouTube as well. And it's really cool to see how you grew up. And I have also like a lot of questions to ask about that. And then also your experience of studying in China and how that was. So we're going to go over all of that. I think we can probably first start with the fact that you grew up in the coldest city in the world.
So I grew up in Yakutsk. It's the capital of Yakutsk. Yakutsk is a republic in the far east of Russia, in Siberia. And I grew up there, and then I studied in Moscow, and then I got a scholarship to study in China. So I lived in China for quite a long time. I lived in China for 6 years. I did my master's degree there. I worked there. I lived there. So China is also became my second home. And it's definitely a big part of my life. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously living in the coldest city in the world, that means you're very far north and I would imagine that it's quite far away from other places. So it's not that easy to travel. Yeah, I experienced the same thing to a certain degree in South Africa, where I grew up. It wasn't too difficult to travel. However, South Africa is at the bottom of the world, so if you want to travel anywhere, it's like takes a long time to do so.
Yeah, if you need to travel from Yakutsk, you need to first fly to the capital, to Moscow, and it takes like 7 hours to fly, which is more than 6,000 kilometers away from Yakutsk. So it's like flying to another country, and it's also different culture. Moscow is also like totally different compared to my hometown, because it's just different. It's in the west of Russia, and it's more European culture, more like Russian culture, but Yakutsk is more like we are our own culture, and we speak our own language, so it's a little bit different. So and why I decided to study in China, because I always wanted to study abroad, and I wanted to see how is it like to live abroad, because I traveled before. When I've been studying in Moscow, I've been traveling quite a lot around Europe, and it was my dream to study in Germany. So I really wanted to study in Germany first, and I didn't know much about China, but I was really lucky to get a scholarship to study in China. So I was thinking about like to study in Germany or China, and obviously like in Germany you need to pay some fee to first learn German language, and then it's more expensive than China. So I decided to choose China, and because in China I was also getting scholarship every month. So it was definitely a good decision. And when I came to China, it was like it's changed totally my mind, because China is so like you never know what will happen, like for example every day, because there are so many things happening around. It's such a bustling city, such an interesting city with so many culture. It's such a nice people. Yeah, definitely a great place to study, and I'm really happy to experience that.
Yeah. So which university did you study in China?
I studied in China University of Petroleum. It's I got a scholarship because I studied engineering in Moscow, and I got a scholarship to continue my master's degree. So that's why I studied in engineering in China as well.
Yes. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, and then afterwards, did you continue working as an engineer?
No, I didn't. I think I don't really see myself working as an engineer, as a geologist. So I started working at it's a startup company in China, and I've been working there for several years, for 3 years. So yeah, it was a great experience. When I started working at a Chinese company, I understand more Chinese culture. I understand more Chinese people, and I learned Chinese language. So it was really nice and the best experience which
Yeah.
I ever had. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. I mean, the experience of studying in China is very different for everyone. Like, everyone has such a unique experience. And for most people, especially, let's say, like 6 years ago, or even like if you think about like 10 years ago, it wasn't very common for people to want to go and study in China or study abroad in China. It wasn't that common as it is now. A lot of
Yeah.
people, I think also because of like YouTube, a lot of people have discovered studying in China or wanting to go to China or getting scholarships to go there. So it's much more common now. But then it was like, there's so many interesting stories. Even when I was at university there, I started 5 years ago. Um, if you talk to people like why did they choose to come to China to study, they always have very interesting stories
Yeah.
about how they happened to study there.
Yeah, I think it's not only there are not only positive things about living and studying abroad. It's definitely also really difficult and challenging time. You have to be more like I don't know, like there are so many things can come out. You don't have any your family around, so you have to manage to live abroad alone, and
Yes.
that's the difficult part. But it also makes you more. Like you are growing faster, you are like becoming more independent, so I think it's also probably the
Yeah.
positive thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. Okay, so when you were in China, I also want to talk to you about like the languages you speak. So you said that you learned Chinese while you were in China. So do you speak any other languages as well?
Well, I speak my Sakha language, which is a native language, my native language, and I also speak Russian, and it's also my
Mm-hmm.
second language. So
Yes.
yeah, I speak 4 languages.
And do you think that because you grew up speaking multiple languages, I mean, even like growing up bilingual, do you think that it makes language learning easier for you later on?
I don't think so. I think it's not true. You just need to spend a lot of time to learn, and obviously it takes time. I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't feel it's easier because, first of all, when I was studying Chinese, I was learning for quite a long time, and I could not speak for quite a long time because it was really difficult
Yeah.
for me to learn the
Yeah.
Chinese. And after a while, I think it takes really time, and it's you need to put a lot of effort in it, and only
Yes.
after you put a lot of like quite a long like a big amount of time, quite a lot of effort, then you can start speaking language. English as well. I didn't speak English until I moved to China, until I started talking to foreigners in English.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I had a lot of foreign friends, especially my one friend who was from Germany.
mhm.
He's still living in China right now. He is married and living there. But I remember he said that he came to China and he started studying Chinese, but his English got so good because he couldn't speak German to anyone.
Yeah.
So he always said it's a good idea to go somewhere because even if your Chinese is not very good, your English becomes very good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
also important to learn the new words every day. There are so many apps where you can learn the words every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. Okay, and why do you think it's important to study abroad?
I just can't imagine myself if I didn't study abroad and lived abroad because I will not, I think I even will not to create my YouTube channel because I will not understand how
Yeah,
is it like. I will not think from the different perspective because I always thought that Yakutsk is something normal to me. It's not something
yeah,
like not
yeah,
really. interesting because I've been living there for like since I like was a child and grew up there, and everything was not that like I mean like it was yeah, and
It
then
was normal for
when I
you.
start yeah, it was normal for me. And when I start talking to foreigners, they were so surprised about our climates, and they were asking
Yeah.
me so many questions about how we are surviving there, what we are wearing, what we eat, like so many questions about our life in Yakutsk. And I was thinking about that, and then yeah, it will be a really great and interesting topic to talk about living in the extreme climate. Yeah, and
Yes.
living and studying abroad just made me think not only from one perspective, but from the more global and from different perspectives.
Yes, yes. No, definitely. You get to meet people from like such
Yeah,
different backgrounds, and
yeah,
you realize that maybe they grew up in a climate that you think is very strange, and then they think the same thing about you, and you get to like gain so many different perspectives. So
yeah.
that's amazing. Okay, yeah. And so what was it like growing up in the coldest city for you? Like, at what age did you first leave? And
Um,
yeah, how was that for you?
well, I still remember how I was traveling to my school by bus. And
Hmm.
we used to wait a bus during the winter time. I think it was minus 50 degrees. And I was waiting a bus for maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And I was so cold that I think I was crying outside, but it was like I even could not cry at all because my
Yeah,
tears
yeah, the tears.
immediately going as a snow, as ice.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was one of my yeah, experience of studying, living in the coldest place on earth is that it's very cold to travel to school. And
Yes, I can
so
imagine.
yeah, and I remember, yeah, you need to wear a lot of clothes. I think it takes a lot of time to wear to 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 um to go out. So I think you need to about like maybe 20-15 minutes to just dress up to go to
Mm,
school. Yeah, and you
okay.
need to wear a lot of layers of clothes. And well, when I was a kid, I was thinking that it's normal to have this kind of weather. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that it's not normal. Yeah, and
and
what else? But I really, really liked winter because of the New Year and Christmas time.
uh-huh.
I think it was my
Yeah.
favorite season of the year, and even it was cold, but I still felt really nice and cozy, like because it's the new year coming, the festival is coming, everyone is so kind and preparing for the festival. So I think it's one
Yeah,
of my
yeah.
favorite seasons.
Okay, amazing. It's opposite for me. I cannot handle the cold at all. I don't think I would be able. I mean, the coldest weather I mean, I grew up in South Africa. It's very
Mhm.
hot.
Yeah,
And I then studied in China, but I studied in Shenzhen, which is also really hot.
yeah.
So then I remember one time I had Korean classmates and they said for like the Chinese New Year, why don't you travel to South Korea and it'll snow there? And I've never seen snow in my life. So you can travel
Mm.
there and you can see snow and everything. And I got there and it didn't snow, unfortunately. However, it was like minus 2 degrees and I thought I was going to die. I thought it was
Really?
so horrible.
So you
I
never
remember I was
seen
looking.
snow in your life?
Never,
Really?
never,
What?
never. No, I've never seen snow. Still, I've
Oh,
never seen snow. After I moved from China, I moved to Spain, also to like the hot part of Spain. So
uh,
I've never lived in the cold weather ever. So
yeah.
yeah, but that one week that I was in South Korea it was difficult for me, and that's like nothing for you.
Yeah.
So
But for me, the hot
yeah.
weather, I think it's a little bit difficult for me to live in the hot weather. Yeah.
So when you went to Moscow, I can imagine the weather is completely different as well. So how was that
Mhm.
experience for you adjusting to like a different type of climate?
I think I didn't have those kind of adjustment because in Yakutsk we also have a really hot summer and we have a
Mm-hmm.
really cold winter. So we know
Okay.
what is the like hot weather. And I
Mm-hmm.
traveled also to the different countries, so I didn't really had any adjustment about the weather. Yeah,
Okay, great.
I think the human can get used to the any environments really fast. And after I lived in Moscow for a while, I remember my first time when I returned back to Yakutsk during the winter, I felt really, really cold. Yeah, so
Oh
you
yeah.
just forget, you forget the your experience, you like forget how is it called, and then you like experience it again as in like as a visitor. Like, but I
Mm-hmm.
lived and grew up there. But it's
So have you
yeah.
ever experienced reculture shock? So that's like when you live in a different country for a long time, and when you go back to your home country, you feel like you have culture shock again.
I don't think so. No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
And when was the last time you were able to go back?
Been like 2 years, no, 2020 before the COVID started, and then I've been in China, and during that time, and I'm planning to go to Yakutia this November. So
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. I understand because also because of the lockdown in China, it basically means that you can't, if you leave China, then you have to really
yeah,
leave.
yeah.
You can't really just come back if you want to, especially not if you're a foreigner. Okay. And how would you say is your Chinese level at the moment?
Now I'm not sure how is it now, because you need to practice it every day.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was all right when I was working with in China at a Chinese company
Mhm.
and was talking every day in Chinese. Now I'm not sure, maybe like HSK 4 or 5 or something like that.
Okay. And do you have any idea if you were to possibly think of living in a different country, which country you would like to maybe settle down for a couple of years?
Um, I don't want to choose only one country. I want to be able to traveling around the world and in live in
Yeah.
different places, like maybe 1 or 3 months in one country and then going to another
Yeah.
country and going to another country. I'm not sure about settling down in exactly one place, but maybe in the
Yes.
future I will choose, but not now. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I will definitely will be also spending some time in Yakutia and also traveling around. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Someone asked if you would like to go to Greece.
Ah, Greece. Yeah, I would love to. I've never been there.
Yeah, they have really nice weather. Yeah, someone says the cold is a lot more difficult than the hot weather.
Yeah, I think so. I already got used to the warm weather now, and now I need to adapt again.
I think, yeah, a lot of people have conversations about like what is more difficult, the extreme hot weather or extreme cold weather. I think they're both like just quite difficult to deal with. Anything that's extreme is
Yeah,
just really difficult.
you just don't spend much time outside, and you
Yeah,
are always inside of the house. So,
yeah,
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 trying to escape.
definitely. Yeah. Even with the very hot weather, it's also you don't really spend time outside. You just stay inside.
Yeah, you always stay inside.
Yeah, yeah. Also, Spain during the last summer had a lot of heat waves. So the whole summer
Yeah.
was about 38 to 40 degrees.
Mm,
So it was basically you're just like lying down all the time. You can't do anything.
yeah.
Everything just takes too much energy to do.
Mm, yeah.
But yeah, I think those are most of the questions. I mean, this has been very informative, and I think that a lot of people's questions were answered. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for
And I hope you have a great day.
you too. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.